it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts, UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Thank you for joining me again today for a Top Tip Tuesday. I love Top Tip Tuesdays. And today's top tip is about using your laser cut paper. I have been very bad about using my laser cut paper and I need to use it. I've still got an awful lot left. That's not laser cut paper, that's a scrap. So yes, look at all this that I've still got left. It's ridiculous. There is an art to cutting the sheets that are cut apart, or that can be cut apart. So these are the ones in the annual catalogue. So the first thing you would want to do is to cut down here, and then you can cut apart your separate pieces. So cut the long border first, then the narrow border, and then you can cut your separate pieces. But yeah, it's very, very, very fine, but it is absolutely beautiful. I did a scrapbook page with it recently and sprayed it with rubbing alcohol and glimmer mist, glimmer paint and re-inker, and it was gorgeous. Anyway, so I've got another idea of how to use it today, and it's using it as a mask. This is the one I've already done, and obviously I'm going to show you how I did it. This was using the very vanilla side, because they're double-sided. They're very vanilla on one side and white on the other. And I used the very vanilla side. I've just realised I've buried everything that I need for this now. I used the very vanilla side and soft suede and just a sponge brayer, and just sponge brayered over the top. And this is how I got this pattern, which I've then mounted on crumb cake card ribbon, some stamping in soft suede with one of our new punches. Just saying, I need to stick that down better. I've popped it up on dimensionals and then stupidly stuck it straight on top of the ribbon, so I need to sort that out. But yes, so that's really quite a simple card, stamping in soft suede as well, and as I say, the new punch. Then this is the waste, if you like, the leftover piece, so it's the piece that is what you get, and I've mounted it on rich raspberry. I did trim it down a little. I've trimmed down the card that I've mounted on a little bit, and then it's rich raspberry and blushing bride on very vanilla, and then I've used some of the artisan pearls to fill in the centres and some rich raspberry ribbon across the middle. I haven't put a sentiment on this. I would put the sentiment on the inside. So that's what I've done to make that one. Now I'm going to do one that's a bit more poppy in colour and in look. So the first thing I've done is I've chosen my framed piece, and I have mounted it on a piece of very whisper white card, and I've put washi tape that I've de-stuck a little on my jumper, and it's all mounted up just on a piece of scrap. I'm going to use lemon lime twist. So just make sure that my brayer is sort of clean, which it sort of is, so that's always a good start. And you want to load your brayer up with ink. And this is where I'm going to discover that I need to re-ink it. No, that's fine. And then just brayer to your heart's content. Now the key is to go in lots of directions so that you get an even colour, because if you just go in one direction you will get stripes. So you want to kind of move your brayer around. So what is my top tip? You're thinking this is Top Tip Tuesday, and what's my top tip? My top tip is, don't just think of your craft supplies as the obvious thing. So why not use your laser cut pieces as templates? They work really well, particularly for brayering, if brayering is a word. They are not so good for spritzing, although they will work, but anything that's too wet will go in underneath. You could probably, with some of them, use embossing paste, but again I would just be very careful that you don't go underneath your cut piece, because the whole point of a template is that it kind of stays put. I just want to get a bit more ink there, and then I think we can call it done. But as you see, it's really quite a quick technique, so certainly worth a try. And these brayers are not expensive. You can wash them just in cold water, or you can wash them in warm water as well, but I tend to just roll them out so that I've got the excess ink off, and then I will rinse that next time I am near a sink. So this is the moment of truth. Now the key to taking your washi tape off is to pull it so that it's flat. Don't pull it up, pull it flat and away from your project, and take it off kind of in the order in which you put it on. So if you put your short bits on first, take your short bits off first. Oh, actually, and there's one thing I've missed out. It's worth taking a kitchen towel and just very gently making sure that you've got the worst of the ink off the washi tape first, and maybe just pounce over the top a little bit. And the reason for that is then you don't end up with lots of ink on your fingers. So yes, which is why I'd remembered, because I was getting lemon lime twist ink on my fingers. So get rid of those, and this one. As I say, just keep as flat as you can when you peel this off. You're less likely, I'll leave that piece on because I don't actually need this piece of grid paper again. You're less likely to tear either your frame or your paper if you go flat. So, the moment of truth, the reveal. Ta-da! How gorgeous is that? So, let's make a card with it. So, first thing I'm going to do with this is trim it down, but let's use this piece first. So I'm going to bring in some Tranquil Tide card, because lemon lime twist on Tranquil Tide kind of works. And I will probably trim that down a bit as well. So, first things first, let's adhere one to t'other. Actually, I'm going to bring in my silicone mat because this makes it all much easier. So, just add a very small amount of liquid adhesive to the outside of the frame. Oops. Can't go in a straight line. It's kind of useful if you can. I'm concentrating, so I'm quiet. And then just pop a couple of bits in strategic places. And strategic is kind of where there's a space, but also so this piece here is what I would call flappy. So anything that is more likely to get caught, you want to just make sure you've got a tiny bit of glue on. It doesn't need to be masses, just a little, so that it's less likely to catch. But as you can see, tiny weeny bits. So then do the impossible and pick this up, preferably without getting glue all over myself or it, which is going to be nigh on impossible. And then I'm definitely doing I've got my tongue sticking out, I'm concentrating that hard. I'm really concentrating hard. Okay. There we go. Right, I'm going to then pop this on here and just press. And then lift up, and there we are. Now, I've deliberately offset it because I am going to trim it down. So bring in my trimmer and just trim so that we've got the smallest little frame around this piece. This is where you discover whether or not you've mounted everything square, because as I've started with a square piece of, as in square cornered frame, mount, it's kind of obvious if everything else isn't square. Right, so then we can pop that on there, which will then reflect the lemon lime twist, so that's lovely. Now that is easier to do because we can just scribble on the back. So you're kind of getting a 2-for-1 today, because my top tips generally don't involve actually making a card, but I thought I would today. So there we go, and again I'm going to turn that over and press, and there we go. So that's all fun. Now I've got some leftover artisan pearls which are in tranquil tide, so I'm going to see if they will work on top, and they do. Oh, so I'm just going to add some of these on top, because I can, as the saying goes. Whoops. I can, therefore I will. Although there is also the thing that says just because you can doesn't mean you should. But I think this will add something. So this is going to be quite a... It's going to have a lot of product, but it's not going to have a sentiment on this card, because I think the sentiment is redundant for this. But I just like the idea of picking out these little dots. And it just adds a certain something to the whole card. Now, if you like the piercing tool, just be aware it's not going to be with us for long. It is not going to carry over to the new catalogue. Just saying. Now, how many of these have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 8, 9. Yes, I've got enough. Yay, because I've got 2 sheets of this. So, yes, the piercing tool is not carrying over. The take your pick will, but the piercing tool won't. So if you like the piercing tool, it's not expensive. I want to say it's kind of £3-4. I'll have a look in a minute. But it is quite a useful little tool to have. I highly recommend that when you're not using it, you put the cover on it. I have one that has got a bent point because I didn't, and it fell on the floor, and you know, it was bound to land tip down, and it did. So there we go. I now have a bent piercing tool, which is not terribly useful, I have to say. Now, you may be wondering why I'm spending the time to put all these on, other than because I can. I wanted to balance out. To have pearls in one area is fine, but it's better if you spread them out a bit. And because I'm being very particular about where I'm putting them, or I would be if I'd actually stuck them down properly, it's... There we go. Give them a proper push. Because I'm being quite particular about where they are, it's not as if I've just scattered them randomly. They are in a definite position. So we do need to balance them out. Whoops. So again, press those down. Pretty. Okay, let's grab a Whisper White card base, because we are on Whisper White. And then we will have our card finished, and then we can make the second one. Where are we time-wise? 14 minutes. So yes, for a Top Tip Tuesday, this is a long video, but none the worse for that. So the next card I'm going to make is going to be more simple. More simple, that's really bad English. It's going to be less complicated. It's probably a better way of putting it than more simple. Simpler. Again, I'm just going to push that from the back so that it's well and truly stuck. So that's that one. And then this is the piece that we've got left over. And I am going to trim that down just a wee bit, just so that it's kind of square within itself. And I'm just doing it by eye. I'm not doing, in fact, what let's do, if I line that up there, I can see where it comes on my trimmer, and then I can line it up again. Or at least more or less line it up again. I think more or less is probably the right word. Okay, so there we go. Right, so there is our piece, and this time I think I'm going to go tranquil. I might trim it down some more, you know, or shall I? No, so my question is going to be, do I like that or that? No, I like the Tranquil Tide. And this one I think I am actually going to stamp on. So my only question to myself is whether I trim it down some more, and I think I will. So having said I want it square within itself, change my mind. Don't. I want it more Polaroid. So I'm going to have a wider gap at the bottom than on the sides and the top. There we go. It's, you know, kind of random by eye again. That's better. That makes me happy. Right, okay, so let's add some ribbon actually. So I'm going to bring in some Tranquil Tide ribbon, and a pair of scissors would be helpful. Shall I go all the way around? Yes. Okay, so don't you love that I'm completely indecisive about this? Actually, no, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use snail because I prefer snail on Whisper White. The glue can, if your Whisper White piece is completely flat and uncluttered, it can sometimes show through the card, so I'm not doing that. Right, a piece of that tear and tape, and let's attach tear and tape to the ends of the ribbon, and then we will be nearly there. So, okay, let's go right across the middle there. Helps if it's sort of even. Right, so my husband is now deciding to mow the lawn outside my window, which is lovely, but I do apologise therefore if you hear a growling noise in the background, because that's what it will be. Right, okay, so I need a scrap of Whisper White, which I know I have got on my desk, because I want to just add... Do I want to add stamping? I don't think I do, actually. No, I'm just going to make my card. I think as a Top Tip Tuesday project, this has gone on far too long. So we will just finish it here. So card base, what I might just do is pop that up on some dimensionals just to give it a bit of oomph. And you will remember my Top Tip Tuesday for dimensionals. If you don't remember it, if you go over to my YouTube channel, you will find there is a playlist for Top Tip Tuesday. And it's basically draw a line on the back of your dimensionals, then you know which ones you've taken the backings off. That was courtesy of a fellow demonstrator and chum of mine, Bhavan or Baz Patel, who came up with that and shared that with us all. And you kind of think, what a genius idea. there we go. Let's get rid of those. So there we go. We've got that card and that card from that piece of Designer Series laser cut paper, and those two from that one. So a really fun idea. I hope you enjoyed that. As I say, don't just think of your products as this is the only way you can use them. I love using these things as templates. Brilliant. Just such fun. Anyway, thank you very much indeed for watching me. I hope you found that useful, interesting. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you would like to subscribe to my channel and you don't already do so, it's the bottom right hand corner. All of these products will be listed over on my website. I'll have close-up photos of the items so you can see them close up and see just how stunning they are in real life. The link to that is below the description bar. Thank you very much indeed for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye!